What's going on, guys? So Dragonforce finally released, reaching into infinity. Oh boy. Ooh. Alright. Here we go. Alright, so reaching into infinity. Opening track, short. I thought it was going to be, a full track going all crazy and all out, but it wasn't. It was just kind of really an intro to everything that was about to happen, because a lot happened in this album, like just musically and just emotionally, and just it was crazy. So it was definitely an excellent opening chapter to that. Like, as soon as like it started playing, I wrote, opening question mark, then I wrote down like prelude to meditation. Nice sound, and it's gonna sound weird as it was the first track of the album. It wasn't even really like too huge, but this is why they're my favorite band. This is why I want to write, power metal, symphonic metal type stuff. This is great. It just sounded, just it just was. It sounded essential Dragonforce and just amazingly just power metal, and just it it just strapped you in, like you're about to go on, like, the world's scariest roller coaster, and they strap you in, and you're nervous but you still feel secure. It's just quintessential. Just it just like sounded so great, and it was small. It was a short track, but it just sounded like amazing. It just reminded me why these guys are my favorite band and why I want to write this kind of music. It was just awesome. And it's weird too, because it was a short track. I wasn't expecting it, but just when the guitar came in and all the sounds were just so smooth, and just there was this great presence about it. Just this short little, minute and a half or so track. It was just the atmosphere of it was just so great. Just you could really just feel the whole vibe of the song, and it was great. And then it led directly into Ashes of the Dawn, which was like, opening came, you went up the hill on the roller coaster, then you just went straight down. Just high energy. The message of the lyrics was great. I really loved the lyrical content in this song. It was just amazing. Just like really kind of hit you right after reaching your infinity. The solo section instantly reminded me of the solo section from The Last Journey Home. And not because it sounded similar, it's just that as soon as I started playing the solos, I just thought of Last Journey Home, because that was my favorite song off of Ultra Beatdown, and one of my most favorite music videos, even though it was interesting. But the solo section reminded me a lot of The Last Journey Home, just that feel and the picking that they were doing on there. I just instantly thought of The Last Journey Home and flashed back to that music video, and just the Ultra Beatdown, and listening to that for the first time. Excellent. Clean solos. Yeah, okay, so this is going to sound a little weird, but the solos for this sounded very clean. It's not like Dragonforce is like incredibly sloppy during their solos. It's like something about these solos in this particular track. When I was listening to it and after I had heard the rest of the album, they just sounded really clean and tight, and they just really kind of sounded like they were truly one with the track. With the rhythm backing. The solos just sounded like very clean and pristine and tight, more than any other song on the album. So great. Number 3, Judgment Day. I'll review that. I'll put a link down in the description. But EDM opening, just that breakdown, like, dude, like, I fast forward to that part in that song sometimes. That breakdown is just so great. And that was out of key, but just that whole breakdown was just great. And so yeah, I'll put that down in the description. But great track. I love the breakdowns. Love the heaviness. But very nice. Number 4, Astral Empire. Favorite song off the album. As soon as it started, I just wrote down G in capital letters, because the drums were amazing. Like, the drums were great. The whole like song reminded me of like a thunder in space. Like, I thought it was just a storm, and then I just thought of thunder, and then I just thought of thunder in space. and that's what it reminded me of, especially when the drums came on. Just like, whoa, like you like if you were floating in space and you felt thunder like vibrate through your body. That's what I felt. And the lyrical delivery was just like, you know, it was just crazy. Like just everything about the lyrical delivery and the vocal delivery in the song was great. Like it was surprising, actually, very surprising. And victorious adventure, you know what I mean? It's just like just flying through space, you know, and like in a triumphant victory, you know what I mean? Just was like the scope of this song kind of like opened up the album a little bit, if that makes any sense. Just also that was going on in it, and just everything that was in it, and then like it was awesome, and then you got to the slow down part where everything slowed down, and during that part I pictured, you know, the sun rising over the horizon of space, which kind of sounds weird, but imagine if you were like floating above Earth, and then you're like seeing all the vast of space, and you turn around, the sun's just rising from behind the Earth, and you know, Mercury and Venus and whatever, and that's what I thought of. And then this bass solo came in. I was just like, I wrote down like bass in capital letters and exclamation points, because wow, that bass solo was amazing. And I'll talk more about that when I get to the end of the album and talk about it as a whole. But yeah, I'm sticking fork in that, or a pin in that. 5, Curse of Darkness. Like, I reviewed that already. I'll put a link to that in the description. But, you know, very Castlevania-like, very fantasy, just very, very fantasy-based. And, you know, Mark's harsh vocals sound great. Like, with his kind of speaking voice and his kind of singing voice, like, you wouldn't think that harsh vocals would be his thing, because, you know, Fred's always handled those. But, you know, Sam said he liked Mark's harshes better than Fred's, and they even sound better than, you know, Sam's too, you know, but his harsh vocals, it's like awesome. Awesome. And Silence, super mellow, very, very, very true to the title. It reminded me of like end credits music for, you know, a video game. You know, just like, you know, after you beat like the final boss and everything's crazy, you got all the like, you know, the happy-ish, you know, kind of sad-ish music playing for the credits. And that kind of reminded me a little bit of a To Le Monde by Megadeth, just a little bit. Like some parts of the lyrics kind of remind me just a little bit of that. And, you know, it just kind of, you know, it kind of made me a little sad, you know, because we just lost Chris Cornell, and you know, they're saying it's like suicide and all this stuff, so it kind of just kind of made me just, you know, it kind of saddened me a little bit. It was definitely true to the title in a great way, because it was very, very emotional and just very just, you know, it was a good song. You know, it was you know, it was just really good. It was nice, you know, a nice little mellow song. It's kind of sad, you know, and yeah, but that was really nice. That was a good one. And then you go right into Midnight Madness, and I wrote happiness in all caps, because it just totally like snaps you right out of that. You know, like as soon as it hits, you can tell it's in a major key, so you're like, oh, okay, we're back to being happy now. Great. And then, happiness attack is what I wrote. Happiness attack, exclamation point. So, happiness attack, you know, just snaps you right out of that, you know, major key and everything. You know, definitely. And the thing about this track is they really organize these tracks really, really well, because I also wrote, feels more uplifting after track 6 equals cancels it out / sequel to it. So what I mean by that is, you had Silence, which was, you know, super sad about your death, dying, going on, everything like that, and then you have, you know, Midnight Madness, which pretty much like the opposite of that, you know, like going, rising up, doing your thing, and being triumphant. And it's like you were just super sad because of Silence, and then this comes on, and it's like, you know, the best song ever, you know. And I like how they using that to play on your emotions, you know, because you're just super sad, you know, you're dying, you're writing your last words to your mom and all this stuff, And then the song comes on right after that. It's all like, oh yeah, happiness, triumphancy, and all this happiness. Yeah, major key and everything. I was like, oh wow, okay. So I'm not sure if this song would have had the same impact had it not been directly after Silence. You know what I mean? Like, you know, power metal is all about positivity and stuff, but I'm wondering if like this song would have been before Silence or just, you know, like somewhere else in the album if it would still have the same impact emotionally. You know what I mean? But definitely great arrangement of songs there because that's it's clever. It's very clever. Yeah, and I also said like a sequel to it. Well, you know, it's about the person, you know, dying, and but you know this one's about living forever, you know, beyond the stars and all that stuff. And this guy's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna die now. And it's all sad, but this one's about, you know, living forever, you know, beyond the stars. So I'm like, okay, it's like this dude's dying and it's really sad, but he's going to heaven and he's victorious because he accomplished his life goals, or you know, like is it a sequel to the song, or is it just something that'll snap you out and like play on your emotions, you know, because it makes this song better. You know what I mean? So yeah. Yeah, super grand. I love the part where it slowed down. There was like a choir under there. Very nice atmosphere. You know, not necessarily atmospheric switch, but definitely a nice change of tone. Very, very nice. You know, I love, you know, choirs and all that kind of stuff, symphonies and stuff. Very, very nice. And it actually struck a personal chord with me because my sister just recently graduated from grad school, and you know, family was down here, and you know, everyone was like there for her, and like when her name was called, we all stood up and we cheered, and you know, like she's going on beyond the stars, you know, doing her thing, you know, making her own legacy and all that stuff. So this one like definitely like pumped me up because, you know, it's like it just reminded me of my sister, you know, walking across the stage, you know, in a sea of all these graduates, you know, like graduating from grad school. You know, it was great. So it definitely hit me personally as well. You know, very, very awesome. And of course, you know, not sure if it would have been had the same impact had it not been right after Silence, which totally just like knocked you down emotionally. But yeah, no, I talked about that one for a long time. Sorry. War starts off very eerie, and the way it started off, I was thinking more of this going to be like a mystical war, you know, because it didn't really remind me of, you know, like space travel or anything like that. Just like, okay, sounds kind of magical, kind of mystical, you know. So I was like, okay, so what's this going to be about? And then like heavy, it's just heavy. The guitars are heavy, and then I wrote like vocals in all caps because there were harsher vocals and they were fast, and it was Mark and not Fred. Like I'm so used to Fred's vocals, Fred's harsh vocals, but like Mark was like not only doing harsh, you know, harsh vocals, but he's also going fast. Like, I was like, wow, super intense song, you know, just the harsh vocals, the speed of the vocals. I really like how there was like an echo effect where like Mark would say something and then like the rest of the band would like lie, la. You know, that was really cool. It kind of reinforced it, gave it a little extra kick. You know, it was just very, very nice use of you know, they didn't like harmonize it. They like had the band say the rest of it and just yell it, which was kind of cool. So that was great. Yeah. Oh yeah, like right after the first mini verse, I guess, straight into a solo. Like it just got intense out of nowhere. It was like blah 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 blah, and then there's just like words, intense vocals, and then like straight into like a solo, and then it was just like went right back into the verse, and I was like, wow. Okay, it was just like hit, you know, nonstop, just intense, you know, like, you know, if you're actually in a war, you know, very, very nice. Yeah, yeah, wow, yeah, just wow, like Mark's voice and like the vocals and the echo effects and just like the whole like brutality of the song, which is great. I definitely see this being a live banger. You know, if they decide to play it live, I'm definitely gonna go see them when they tour with Once Human. I already got, you know, the July date on my calendar. So yeah, definitely this will be a great live banger if they choose to play it live, which I hope they do. Yeah. And on another note, the subject matter. When I saw the term war or the name war, I was like, okay, this seemed to be about power metal-y, spacey type, reaching into infinity, time travel war, but it was like emotional war between people, and the way the lyrics were phrased, it kind of reminded me of "Make War" by From First to Last that Skrillex just rejoined, like just because of "Make War" and then "War." And then the lyrical content was, about like emotional war between people and people messing with each other's lives. So that kind of reminded me of "Make War" by From First to Last. But yeah, wow, crazy. Land of Shattered Dreams vocal harmonies were on point. Love them, love them. They were great. Real. Yeah, okay, real. Yeah, the lyrics were just like really touching, and not necessarily like in a sad way. It's just like you listen to it and you're like, okay, I can identify with that. Yeah, I see that happening, in life. Wow. Okay. True. And it's just like everything you said, just like yes, 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 real life, real life, real life, real life, real life. So it's probably the realest song on the album as far as like living it and seeing it happen with others and just around you. Yeah, very 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 nice. Kind of also a little bit personal, but I take a lot of respect, so I'm just gonna say the next thing here. And there's like one part, I don't know what exactly was going on, but I just described it as guitar jiggling, where there's like just this note that they were doing, and it was like kind of being kind of tremoloed, I think, or something was happening. I don't know what was happening, but there was like this note that was just held out, and it was like it was like if you hit a tuning fork and you like put it like on something and go, it just like sounded like that. I'm not sure what they're doing there, but I just put it as guitar jiggling, and that sounded really good. I enjoyed that. So yeah, Land of Shattered Dreams, definitely great. Hit me here. Awesome. And Edge of the World, long. This is the song they were talking about. This was that long, epic song, like Epic did on the Holographic Principle and Nightwish did with The Greatest Show on Earth. This is that long song, and it was great. The opening definitely reminded me of country music, and then it got metal, and then it started talking about gods, and I love mythology, I love gods, and then from the gods thing, I listened to it and I was like, this is about Ragnarok, and I was like, it's about the end of the days, the death of the gods and everything. And the whole song, well, for harsh vocals, like I don't know whose vocals those were, but harsh vocals were just like, wow, I was not expecting harsh vocals in the song, but wow, the harsh vocals were very, very well placed and came at the right time and left at the right time as well. And drums, wow, gee, I'm so glad to get to hear my album finally. He's doing amazing. But this is that song, and to be honest, it was great. It starts off, and then it just goes on this whole another thing, and then at the end, it goes right back into the first part of the song, and I was like, the transition wasn't smooth, but it was still good. Like they didn't like fade into it and then go back into it. Like the kind of aggressive part of the song just stopped, and then it just went back into that. And I was like, wow, they just like, and it wasn't bad. Usually when you transition through music like that, it's kind of like not too good unless you're actually watching a movie and it's the backing track. But they just like stopped all the aggressive parts just kind of suddenly, and then went back into like the first part of the song. I was like, wow, okay. It was good, and I was definitely thinking that this should have been the last track of the album until Our Final Stand played, and I just got lost in it. It was just, I was kind of expecting it to be like the opening track. It was just like an interlude or like a little short thing, but it was actually a full song, and I was like, this is actually a really good last track. It's actually a really, really good final track to follow the edge of the world. And I just kind of got lost in it and just like sat here and just like came down from the whole album that I was hearing. It was just like, it was just so great. It was actually was a good closer, you know, to follow like a 15 or whatever minute long song. And yeah, so yeah, alright. So as a whole here, first of all, G does a great job on drums. I'm finally glad to hear him on an album doing his thing. Great job. The bass sounded great, especially that little solo was great. The guitar sounded great. The vocals, both clean and harsh, surprisingly both sounded great. I'm gonna say my only sort of complaint, and then I'm gonna talk more about the album as a whole. Yeah, there's one thing here that I was gonna talk about the album as a whole here. All right, yeah. So the one thing is on some notes, I forgot what song it was, but it was one of the first 4 songs, probably Ashes of the Dawn, where, oh, I don't know which one, but it was like one song where some of the high notes sounded like it was a little hard for Mark to hit. And like there were harmonies under them, and it kind of sounded like they might have tried to cover them up a little bit with harmonies, you know. But there was one particular song where it sounded like the high notes were a little hard for Mark to hit. But other than that one particular song, I can't remember which one it was, but other than that one particular song, it was great. And just ever since Mark joined the band, and for all of the ZP lovers and all that stuff, don't hate me for this, but ever since Mark joined the band, Dragonforce has stepped up. Like, as soon, first of all, just sound-wise, as soon as I saw, because I'd listened to Dragonforce, you know, back in high school, but I kind of dismissed them. I was like, okay, this is fake, and I ain't going anywhere, this is fad, because Guitar Hero, blah, 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 blah. And I stumbled upon the music video for Cry Thunder, and I was like, oh, they got a new singer, okay. And I listened to it, and I was like, wow, this is great. You know, it's not too crazy, it's not fast, it's not shreddy. And I'm like, oh, they're still around. And this is their 5th album. I'm like, wow. And then just sound-wise, just overall sound. Power Within stayed away from the video game in this. It stayed away from the bleep bloops and all that junk. And it still sounded great. It still sounded like Dragonforce. It was still power metal. You know, even the album cover wasn't, you know, crazy like all the other ones have been. It's just orange DF over, you know, gunmetal gray metal background. And it was just amazing. It sounded great. The keyboards were kind of diminished, but you could still hear them and feel their presence there, especially when you listen to the solo keyboard tracks for Cry Thunder. And it just sounded great. And then they came out with Maximum Overload and got back to all their gamey sounds, got back to extravagant album covers and all the craziness, and it was amazing. It sounded great, it sounded coherent, it sounded thought out and well planned, it was mixed and mastered very well, and everything was great. And with this album, they keep sounding different ever since Power Within, but it's not a bad different. It just sounds better, but also differently. You can definitely tell it's Dragonforce. All the sounds, all the components of Dragonforce are there. You can definitely tell it's them, but they just keep making all these subtle changes in their style and the way they implement things. Like Power Within, there wasn't a bunch of bleep bloops in for Reaching into Infinity. Everything just sounded cleaner and smoother, and they just really were, they just get way more tight over the years, you know, with the addition of Mark and now with the addition of G. They've just been improving and getting so much more professional and mature as just musicians and just as a band, and they just keep getting better and better with what they do. Like, I was actually, even though I'm very excited about still having Mark here and having G here, I was just really wondering, because they were saying we were going to expand on the sound, we proved we can play fast, and we're going to do something else. And I'm just like, you know, I wasn't one of those guys that was like, oh, if they change their sound, I'm not gonna like them anymore. But I was just like, what are they hinting at here? Like, what kind of things are they gonna do with their sound? You know, because they already kind of went away from it for Power Within. I'm like, just what are they gonna do here? But they just really brought it back, and were just really, really just pure Dragonforce. You know, this is probably the best album they've released post ZP. You know what I mean? Like, this album is the Inhuman Rampage of the Mark era. You know, it was just their scope is just widening, and they're becoming so much more creative and just so much more diverse and talented, but keeping their same sound but doing so many different things with it. And like, I love that. Like, this is why you guys are my favorite band. This is why I love power metal. You know, these guys are just amazing. You know, they're still playing fast and, you know, talking about, you know, kind of fantasy-ish stuff, but also mixing in some real stuff and going slow and everything. You know, it was just great. You know, even on Power with them, they had some acoustic versions of songs, which was great. And they're just knocking out the park constantly. You know what I mean? And it's just great. I just really love seeing them play live. I got to meet like G and Sam on the Maximum Overload tour, and it was just amazing. And they're just really cool guys, great musicians, very mature people, and they just know how to do what they do and do it extremely well. And they're just great. So yeah, definitely go check out this album. If you like it, buy it. If you love it, buy it. If you're not too sure about it, buy it. Just amazing. I can't wait to go see these guys on tour again. You know, it'll be my third time seeing them, and it's going to be great. And another great album by Dragonforce, another great power metal album, you know, and these last, you know, because last year we had, you know, like Twilight Force and Pride Venom, another great power metal album to add to whatever collection of metal albums you have. Yeah, just awesome. A really, really great, diverse, very meaningful and powerful album, both musically and emotionally. But yeah, if you guys like these videos, you can leave me a like, leave me a comment, or you can subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and rock on.